So, now, within, I think it was 8 minutes at the town hall, she got the Assad question, which I had tweeted out earlier. They were probably going to do the Assad question within 8.5 minutes. So I was 30 seconds late. It came 8 minutes in. So let's see the Assad question, which obviously the media has painted Tulsi Gabbard as an Assad apologist. Here we go.
Congresswoman, you mentioned Syria. We actually have a question on that. I want to bring in Jessica James, a consultant from New Jersey.
Thank you. Do you remain skeptical, as you were in 2017, that Bashar al-Assad used chemical warfare against Syrian civilians?
I want to correct that because there's been some misunderstanding. There have been reports showing that chemical weapons have been used in Syria, both by the Syrian government as well as different terrorist groups on the ground in Syria. The skepticism and the questions that I raised were very specific around incidents that the Trump administration was trying to use as an excuse to launch a U.S. military attack in Syria. Now, I served in a war in Iraq, a war that was launched based on lies, and a war that was launched without evidence. And so the American people were duped. So as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, it is my duty and my responsibility to exercise skepticism anytime anyone tries to send our service members into harm's way or use our military to go in and start a new war.
May I just ask a follow about that? Because, Congresswoman, the Defense Department, the United Nations agree that the Assad regime used chemical weapons against its own people. So, as president, would you trust the conclusions of your government?
Well, like I said, we have in our recent past a situation where our own government told lies to the American people and to the United Nations, for that matter, to launch a war. So what I'm saying is it is our responsibility to exercise due diligence, to ask the tough questions, to get the evidence before we make those very costly decisions about how and when and where our military is used.
Where do you even begin? Oh, where do you begin? First of all, I don't really understand why I've been attacked like this online. I guess I understand, considering if you dare point out anything negative about Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, the establishment, you're terrible. But shouldn't CNN be telling its audience if a person asking questions to Tulsi Gabbard, specifically on Syria, has ties to President Obama? Like, I've been accused of doxing this person all day on Twitter, but the woman who just asked the question, her name is Jessica James, and she's a consultant. It's not illegal to be a consultant, but in 2008, she worked for Obama for America's Tri-State Finance Office. Okay, so Obama for America was Obama's official organization. She worked, I guess, in the tri-state area in the finance office. It's not an issue with her asking the question. I think Tulsi Gabbard should be asked about her visit to Syria. I asked her about her visit to Syria. But shouldn't, she just says a consultant. They just introduce her as a consultant. Well, isn't it pertinent that the consultant worked for then candidate Obama's campaign, and that President Obama was the one who got the U.S. involved in Syria in the first place? I, as a viewer, would like to know what links the people asking questions have to Obama or a lobbyist. During Bernie's town hall, CNN had a young student who was working as an intern for the biggest lobbying firm in all of the United States, in all of Washington, D.C., asked Bernie about the sexual harassment allegations on his campaign. So, oh my God, so radical of me to tweet out. I wasn't attacking this woman. I don't have a problem with her. It's not to say somebody who worked for Obama's organization, can't ask a question to Tulsi Gabbard. That's not what my tweet was about. My tweet was about, can we just know that the person asking Tulsi Gabbard, and obviously wasn't asking in a way that she was like a major fan of Tulsi Gabbard, has worked for then candidate Obama, the very president who got us into this war that Tulsi is trying to get us out of. I don't know why that's radical. And by the way, what Tulsi Gabbard, I think, was trying to say, and she's been attacked for not giving a straight answer on if Assad gassed his own people, well, in 2018, in the attack in Douma in Syria, the United States, Great Britain, all of the politicians, CNN, immediately said this attack in Douma was by the Syrian government, that Assad had gassed his people, and this was an attack by the Syrian government, that they gassed their people in Douma. Well, not according to the Organization for the Prohibition on Chemical Weapons. A global chemicals weapons watchdog have released an interim report stating that various chlorinated organic chemicals were found at the site in Syria where a chemical attack is suspected of being carried out in April. A fact-finding mission by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons warned it was too early to come to conclusions about the suspected attack on the town of Douma, saying, quote, work by the team to establish the significance of these results is ongoing. At the same time, the investigators reported, based on initial results, that, quote, no organophosphorus nerve agents or their degradation products were detected in samples taken from people allegedly exposed in their environment. The OPCW is investigating the suspected April 7th chemical attack on Douma, a town near the Syrian capital of Damascus. The United States, Britain, France blamed Syrian government forces and launched punitive airstrikes. Syria denied responsibility. So, before inspectors even went in to see what was the chemicals released, the U.S., Great Britain, CNN, the New York Times, the whole gang was saying that Assad gassed his own people. Now, this doesn't mean that Assad hasn't gassed his own people in the past. I think there is evidence that he has gassed his own people in the past. I think there is evidence that Assad is not the United States' friend or anybody's friend. I think there is evidence that Assad has done brutal things to his people. But there's also evidence that rebels have released chemicals too. And that's what Tulsi Gabbard was trying to say. So because she's not outwardly saying Assad is, gassed his people and this and that, maybe because if she becomes president, she wants to try and create a political resolution to end the Syrian war. Paul says, hey, he gassed Syrians, however, they are not his people, they hate him. And the point is, the media and the military-industrial complex, they are very simplistic creatures. They love war, and they love making enemies. So they want her to say, Assad gassed his people, Assad gassed his people, Assad is a war criminal. Well, what if her mentality is, well, I don't want to say that. Because if I become president, I want to work for a diplomatic political resolution to end the Syrian war. So the United States doesn't have troops in perpetuity there. Maybe her mentality as a war veteran, all these people like to talk and criticize, but none of them served in the military. She has 2 tours in Iraq. So, number one, it's not clear that Assad gassed his people in 2018. I think there is evidence he's done it before that. But, oh my God, these people are losing their mind. So, Dana Bash, who I thought was very clearly trying to get her to basically she was trying to rope her into negative sound bites. Short negative sound bites that CNN could play on a loop, and Tulsi Gabbard wasn't falling for the bait.
Syrian refugees in Jordan, they requested that the first international criminal court case against the Syrian government commence. You met Bashar al-Assad in 2017. Do you believe that Assad is a war criminal?
I think that the evidence needs to be gathered, And as I have said before, if there is evidence that he has committed war crimes, he should be prosecuted as such.
But you're not sure now.
Everything that I have said requires that we take action based on evidence. The evidence is there. There should be accountability.
Okay, we're going to get to our next audience question. It comes
Well, that, oh my God, I've seen at least 2 segments already on CNN today. Killing her over the fact that she didn't call him a war criminal. Well, I don't want to engage in that awful, what do they call it? Whataboutism? But why doesn't CNN ask Donald Trump or anybody if Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is a war criminal? Because he's committing genocide and exterminating half of Yemen. Is he not a war criminal? What about President Obama when he met with the King of Jordan? Nobody was asking Obama at the time, what about you meeting with a war criminal? Or, sorry to dare mention the deceased name, but nobody asked John McCain, hey, what are you doing standing on stage in Ukraine with neo-Nazis in the opposition? I mean, it's unbelievable. Do I think, should Tulsi Gabbard condemn Assad as a dictator, as a brutal dictator? Yeah, I think she should. And you know what? She has. She said it on The View. She said it in other times. But the corporate media is trying to basically make her, a war veteran, into an Assad toady or aiding the terrorists when they are very, very, very fine ignoring all of the brutal dictators, all of the people that the United States has great relationships with that kill innocent children and women, kill innocent people, that have gassed their people. For some reason, it's Assad that the corporate media is zeroing in on. No worries about Saudi Arabian dictators. No worry about Jordanian dictators. The corporate media was totally fine with Saddam Hussein, who has gassed his people, by the way, for many, many years. It was only until 9/11 and W. Bush with the microphone, all of a sudden the corporate media hated Saddam Hussein. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.